Hello, welcome to my new premises. Those of you who have been worrying about bookshelves, I hope I have put your minds to rest. The Anglican Breviary suggests that today we celebrate the feast of St. Aelred of Rievaulx. Rather remarkable abbot, and one whose writings are still very much used today. One thing that caught my eye in this day and age, given that we are so bombarded with words, is that he actually spoke about free speech. He's reputed to have said, "My children, speak what you like, only do not speak anything base, do not speak any evil against your brother, do not blaspheme against God." So that sets the rule, really. Of course, we are free to say what we like, but there are limits on what is good to say. St. Benedict is someone who realizes that even when we try to say good things, we end up making a mess. And so he says, let the permission to speak be seldom granted. It may seem as if he is not in favour of free speech. Well, that's not quite true. I think what he is looking for is setting our speech in the context of our salvation. St. Benedict also says, remember that in much speaking you cannot escape sin. And that's essentially where we lie. We have this thing called free speech, and we can use it in any way we want to, just as we can use it any of our other faculties as human beings. As we can use them, our hands, our eyes, our ears. When we think of St. James and his admonition against the tongue, how it is, how a large ship is manoeuvred by a small rudder, and such is the tongue to the not just to the soul, basically. And so St. Benedict is saying, if you're interested in salvation, if you're wanting to be saved, if you want to find yourself in the presence of God, then you need to curb your excesses. You need, out of your own will, to limit what you say. And that's important, because limiting what we say means that we can think more clearly about what we do want to say. It means that good things can become better because we've taken time to think over them rather than just spew the first platitude out of our mouths. There is this, I don't know if it's true, but I think in charismatic circles there is some kind of entity known as the prattler of pious platitudes, which do nothing. And our prayer life should be a life of where we are comfortable with not saying much but being silent. You'll also see the same thing in our liturgy. In the Anglican Catholic Church, we have a very rigid liturgy. That offends some people. Some people think, we need to, I want to be able to express I want to express this, I want to express that. Well, yes, but that's you wanting to express that. You're not being part of the church. And so by voluntarily restricting our language to the words of the liturgy, we are tuning ourselves in to the rest of the church. We're saying the same words, we're believing the same things. And that's why liturgy is so very important for us as Anglican Catholics. Liturgy is the way we worship. And the pinnacle of worship is the Mass. And so that is why we must take pains to say our Mass carefully. And outside of Mass, well, when we're faced with argument, faced with wars of words, well, this is why YouTube is so noisy, and why Facebook is noisy, and Instagram is noisy, TikTok is noisy. It's all noise. Everyone's speaking at once. Everyone's saying different things. Everyone's opposing each other. Each one is engaging each other in debate. Best thing to do is to accept things and to be silent and to wait for God. That is perhaps where we need to be, where we need to be thinking. And we can perceive wrongs done to us. And we can shout and scream that we've been wronged. But we only add to the noise. We only add to the other 10 million injustices, perceived injustices, that are rattling around the world. What we are not doing is we are not sitting down and listening to God. And St. Benedict again says that one of the marks of humility is that if you are wronged, endure it. You don't need to say anything, because God above sees injustice. And yes, there are some injustices that do need to be brought to light. And I do think of some of the abuse scandals in various churches need to be seen. But there are others that don't. In speaking too much, we can try and play the victim, and that's not helpful. Christ is the victim. Christ is the archetype of victims. And what does he do? He is silent, like a lamb led before the slaughter lamb led to the slaughter is silent. And learning to be silent, even in difficulties, is a sign of our faith. It's a sign of our trust in God. It's a sign of saying, Lord, I'm in pain. Lord, this has happened to me. This is injustice. But I will wait for you to do something with it. I will wait for you to make something great come out of this injustice. Because we know God can do that. If God can bring salvation out of a crucifixion, then our injustices all over the world, in the Middle East, in Africa, in all these places, by being silent, taking it inside and holding it there, holding it in the heart, for Christ to pick up and to be part of his sacrifice on the cross. In much speaking, we cannot avoid sin. And I know that I'm as guilty as that as anyone else. But it is worth making sure that silence is something we learn to treasure and not see it as an infringement of our free speech, but rather as an exercise of our free speech, an exercise of not saying what we think we should be saying. So it allows us to engage further with God and to think carefully about what has really been said. So God bless you. God bless you if you are being beaten by lots of words that are coming your way. May God grant you his silence, where you may find refreshment and peace. God bless you if you are engaged in a war of words, that you may see how to sit back and to trust in the justice of God, so that with few words you may speak great things that come from God. And God bless you that with the incarnate word, in worship of him who truly is, was and will be, we may come together and use words of praise and glory in his kingdom. God bless you. Please pray for me.